Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
6:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. At 7:35, we're going to be talking to Trevor Maddich about the upcoming game with the Cleveland Browns and how RG3's knee is doing. And then at 8:35, we'll be talking to our good friend Brett Baer from the Fox News channel about all things. There's some new details about Susan Rice, who is out, taking her name out of consideration to be Secretary of State. We'll talk about that and other things, including the state of the negotiations over the fiscal cliff.
That's right, but first, our very good friend Lanny Davis joins us, Brian Wilson. It's always good to get our morning rolling with Lanny. Hey there, Lanny. Good morning. Well, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I'm very, very sad about what's been done to Susan Rice, and if it were done to a Republican by Democrats, I'm pretty even on this program. I'd be saying the same thing.
I didn't even get to ask you a question on this.
But let me jump in there for a second. Why are you sad? Here is a woman who basically, went out on 5 different talk shows and put out a narrative that we now know was just not based in fact. Why are you upset about that?
Well, first of all, let's talk about facts and not have an argument, because we can disagree about what we draw from facts, but facts are facts. She read from talking points prepared by the CIA, word for word, verbatim. If you compare the transcript of the TV show.
Wait, Lanny, General Petraeus in his testimony. But you're not telling the truth, Lanny.
Here's a fact. She read from the talking points. General Petraeus said there were changes in the talking points reported by members of Congress. Here's the change. And it wasn't done by anybody. It was done by the CIA before she got them. She didn't change them. He said there were changes. One change was, instead of having a consulate, they put a post. The other change was taking out reference to Al-Qaeda and putting in the word extremist. That was done by the CIA. So what I said initially is a fact. She read verbatim what she was handed by General Petraeus and the head of the National Intelligence post above him, can't remember, DNI, also signed off. So that's a fact. She read what she was handed.
Okay, what she said on the Sunday shows, was it factual?
No, it was wrong.
And the administration asked her to go out there to speak on behalf of the administration and behalf of their policy.
If you want to criticize the CIA for getting it wrong, which is, I think, unfair, because she caveated what she said by, this is what we know now, this is an evolving story, and she also referenced Al-Qaeda several times as a possibility. So the CIA did get it wrong because of an instant in time when they didn't have all their information, and they've admitted
Lenny,
they got it wrong.
Here's what I don't understand. You say you're
blame Susan Rice is my question for both.
You say you're sad about what happened to Susan Rice. Well, first of all, why didn't they put the nomination forward? Why didn't they let it go to the committee? I mean, you've got a Democratic majority in the Senate. Why not go to the Met and fight for her?
Look, I remember when I wrote a book on the emerging scandal machine, I got to the Clarence Thomas matter as I tried to figure out how did we get into this situation where innuendo rather than fact can drive and actually ruin a person's reputation, and there's no fact, it's just innuendo. I agree, this happens when Democrats certainly did it to Clarence Thomas, and I think that this...
And Robert Bork.
And Robert Bork, which I wrote about in my book. So this is a disease that infects our culture, and should the president have been stronger and fought the battle? I think so, but I also understand why she wouldn't want to put herself through that or put him through that.
All right, so what do you think's going to happen next? Her name's out of consideration. And by the way, can we just dispense with this thing that it was her idea? We know that wasn't the way it works. You've been around Washington long enough to know that she got
tapped on the shoulder.
This whole narrative about, well, she decided on her own that it was in the best interest of the nation. She got told it ain't going to happen, right?
Well, look, she may have been told, or there are signals, or there's the absence of being told. It's been 2 or 3 weeks where she could have been nominated for Secretary of State, where she wasn't. So whatever the reason, I think the president has a pragmatic judgment to make. God knows President Clinton in the early weeks of his administration had to back off several nominees. I remember Lonnie Guinier, who you recall was nominated for a Justice Department post.
Of course.
And this is difficult judgments presidents have to make, so I can understand why President Obama decided this wasn't worth the fight. But there's no question they made a decision not to nominate her, whether she was tapped on the shoulder or somebody winked at her. I think that she got and did a very, noble act by not staying in and forcing the president to say, I'm not going to nominate you. And in this case, I think she did act in the interest of let's get past it, and she has a life.
Right.
I heard somebody say that she's stupid or incompetent. This is a woman.
You didn't hear that on this show.
And by the way, this is someone who did not support Hillary Clinton for president, even though she worked in the Clinton White House and supported Barack Obama. So we weren't on the same side of a pretty tough battle. But I'm talking about she's a brilliant woman. She's graduated Stanford University and a Rhodes Scholar. And I actually heard the senator from New Hampshire say, well, she should have revealed classified information on these talk shows, meaning she knew that there were reports of an al-Qaeda involvement. But when she was asked, she said a possibility because she didn't want to reveal something that she was told.
All right,
can I thing to say?
Can I change the direction just a little bit? Because I know you're good friends with Hillary Clinton. There are some questions still about Benghazi. There are reports out that the State Department is actually hiding the survivors of Benghazi from congressional investigators. And there are conflicting reports about whether or not Hillary Clinton will testify before Congress on this matter. Shouldn't that be automatic? Shouldn't she automatically testify? I mean, after all, she was Secretary of State when these things took place.
Of course. And I think I disagree with Lindsey Graham and John McCain, who are friends of mine, on what they believe about Susan Rice. But I think they are right, dead on, as is everyone, that this is very serious, what happened at Benghazi. Securing our people in the field is a very serious problem, and there should be full transparency, 100%. Hillary Clinton stands for full transparency, and I think she should testify, and I think we need a full investigation of what happened. We don't need an independent committee. But I do believe there are a lot of unanswered questions. I'm very uneasy that the administration, I don't think, has handled this in a transparent way. In my mantra, tell it all, tell it early, tell it yourself, is get the facts out. And I don't understand why, I cannot understand why the administration hasn't been proactive. They have an investigation going on, but they should be more proactive to get the facts out.
Lanny Davis, I've had the pleasure of doing these interviews with you now for a few weeks. I always look forward to our visits each week because it's always a spirited discussion. And I'm sure one thing you've learned about me at this point is that I'm a lover, not a fighter. I want to bring us all together. Let's end this on something that we can all agree on. Can we agree that this boneheaded analyst over at ESPN should be fired over what he said about RG3?
No.
Oh, Lanny!
Here's the deal. I have the greatest son you could possibly imagine, named Seth Davis, who does CBS Sports and the NCAA tournament with Greg Gumbel. And the American right to free speech and the right to make a boneheaded mistake.
Wow. Okay, so I missed your support of Rush Limbaugh when he said something controversial.
I did support.
All right, you're consistently wrong then.
Let me end by saying that this is 2 days after 12/12/12, which is my birthday, and I want to wish myself happy birthday.
Happy birthday. That's my son's birthday. There, we did get agreement and join together on something.
We got to leave it there, Lanny. Always good to have you on. Thank